Hello and welcome to another beautiful edition of Locker Room on Voice of the People TV. I am Jerry Apeliohai. We've gone to thrilling show for you today and loads of action we've got for you as far as football is concerned. I'm not alone today. I have Ikechukwu makes a return, though it's been a topsy-turvy time for the United. Talking about the signing board. Is it the board that is in charge of signing or Amorim right now? I don't know. It is what it is, but of course, those who are on the bright side of the transfer window are smiling like I am doing right now on Locker Room. Ikechukwu, it's great to have you join us once again. So much happened over the weekend, and of course, the Super Falcons did very well. Certainly, the Jollof debate, both the male and the female, are letting everybody know that Nigerian Jollof is actually the best Jollof in Africa.
I mean, there hasn't been any debate. I don't think there should be a debate about the best Jollof, Jerry. And good evening, Jerry, and good evening to our viewers. Jerry, you see that game against the Black Queens of Ghana, I actually followed that game a bit, and I can tell you that the Super Falcons are actually, they've really dropped in terms of the way they actually dominate team over the years, right? But of course, the talent will always be there. And of course, because Ghanaian football has also dropped over the years, I think it has to do with the fact that both countries have actually spent very little as regards development, in football generally, both the male and female category. And of course, for transfer, yes, a lot has been happening across the world. I mean, the city of Liverpool and the Merseyside, and of course, London. They've been huge transfer. Chelsea is actually doing a lot in the market, and United will definitely get their acts done before the season eventually opens. And of course, the Club World Cup, a lot happened. Inter Miami were actually schooled. Right. The football lessons were taught, and
is it the book of Acts, the Bible? Because you are saying they will get their acts together. Anyway, maybe they will have to consult the disciples to help them search where the footballers are. Because I heard the Buemo is still.
Yes, Buemo's deal is still very much in the pipeline. I think around 62 million euro is actually what
they want something very close to Kunha's.
Yes, around that. And of course, Buemo has actually said that it's only United he wants at this point. So I think the deal is definitely going to pull through at the end of the day. But just a little conversation with both sides and all of that.
Pay more money. I wish you guys all the best. Anyway, let's take a look at the Super Falcons, where they did the business against the Black Queens of Ghana over the weekend. And the former Super Falcons star Stella Mbachu has expressed strong confidence in Nigeria's women's national team, predicting they will win all their matches and clinch a record 10th Women's African Cup of Nations title. The tournament kicks off on the 5th of July in Morocco, which is this week, and Nigeria is grouped with Tunisia, Algeria, and Botswana. The Falcons, who last won the title in 2018, are aiming to reclaim their dominance after finishing 4th in the 2022 edition. Mbachu, a former WAFCON winner herself, boldly stated that the team will go unbeaten and return home with a trophy. And ahead of the tournament, the team boosted morale with a 3-1 victory over the Black Queens of Ghana in a closed-door friendly. Goals from Chiwendu Ihezwo, Asisa Doshala, and Rashidat Ajibade confirmed the win following a goalless draw against Portugal as part of their final preparations. I think, first of all, they will have to scale the hurdle of that group. If you take a look at me, whether they like it or not, this is arguably the group of death. Because Tunisia are not pushover. I think we lost, was it Morocco we lost to last time? Yeah, in the semi-finals, and went on to play the third place match.
And we lost the third place as well.
And we lost the third place match. Anyway, the third place match, I must tell you, there was controversy. The players said they were not going to play, they were being old, and even before the Morocco game, the players were no longer happy. And I could see the Morocco were they ran over the Super Falcons just because the players were not interested. I think if the business of administration is done properly, I think our Super Falcons have no problem running over African teams. And I hope, since Rashida Ajibade has been made the captain, we're going to have a breath of fresh air. And those rebels like Sisa Doshala will have to know that their time is already going out. But definitely she has influence on this team.
She does. And I don't know how they actually arrive at this. I think she's actually a good leader. If you see her comments online.
You think that Sisa Doshala is not going to feel disrespected?
I'm actually going there. You know, it's actually a thing for Ajibade Rashidat, who's, for me, I've seen her comment online, I've seen how she try to rally the girls, I've seen how she conduct herself. She indeed is a leader. I mean, she exudes.
Yeah, she has leadership qualities.
She's got that quality. But then, when you have top players, I mean, the likes of, no disrespect to Ajibade, the likes of Asisa Oshola, who's actually at some point won, the best player in the world, the BBC version, while she was playing for Liverpool. A player at that level, coming to the team, who is in the team, and then you take the handband from her and other senior players and hand it over to someone else. It's disrespectful. No team does that. If it were to be male football, trust me, this is definitely going to be upsetting the dressing room. And most times when this even happens, you will see that it's a case of where perhaps the person who is actually being given the bands is a forward, and then the other senior players might be defenders. So sometimes it really doesn't rub off on those players. We've seen that happen over and again in male football category. But then in male football, when you have this sort of players and then you have your top forwards who are actually experienced players, these things doesn't get to happen. And I don't know how they actually arrive. I hope this doesn't end up, bringing some sort of animosity in the dressing room, because some of these girls actually have huge influence. They like to assist and co. But then I just hope they are able to actually manage that. But then back to what you were saying about getting the issue of administration right. If they can actually get that right, I don't see any reason why Super Falcons cannot go unbeaten in this tournament. Then we've done that against Cameroon, which is another very strong powerhouse. I mean, over the years, we know Cameroonian football, female football is way stronger than Tunisian female football. Of course, the North Africans have the way of actually developing themselves over time. Now we can have a conversation about Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, as top team in Africa. But I mean, before now, it's all about West African affairs. That's where you see very strong teams in Africa. Now we did that about Cameroon. Now we did it again against another very strong powerhouse in female football in Ghana. And now we are in this particular group. If we can actually do those double header against those two very strong teams, and the way the girls actually played out in Portugal, I don't think there's any reason. I don't think there's any team that will stop Super Falcons from going unbeaten in this tournament. Sincerely, except perhaps maybe after our first two wins in the group, we start to actually just relax and let our guard down. Maybe that would actually cost us a victory in the third game. But then, as the outlook of this particular tournament, I don't think the Falcons have any excuse not to go, unbeaten in this particular championship, except, if the issue of administration becomes, the bottleneck that they have to actually face. And like they say, the biggest problem you have is actually yourself. If you cannot, solve the internal crisis, then of course the football will never really roll well.
I also hope the wages of the players have been paid. Talking about appearance bonuses, the qualifiers, all the appearance bonuses have been settled before this championship. The players are not being owed, because it will not be good that we're going to hear that the players are being owed and they are not happy going into the next game. And I'll have to see the game against Tunisia first. Tunisia is my biggest worry in that group. Same with Algeria. Algeria has not pushed over. Algeria has improved. Talking about the North African teams, they've really improved. And let's not forget, Botswana have some very deadly forwards. That Botswana team, they have some two key players who we are going to be. I'll try to pick up their name right now, because Botswana is not pushed over too. They're a very, very difficult side to play against. And we hear there's a certain Nigerian player talking about Okafo, who is in that Super Falcons team. She was supposed to play for Malawi, and it generated a lot of controversy online over the weekend that Malawi actually wanted her to play for them, but they were not serious. The NFF showed more seriousness, and somehow I think that must have looked like a coup for Nigeria to succeed. Imagine getting a player to play for Nigeria because she has a Malawian mother. Yes, we'll get to that aspect, but I just hope these players will be paid their dues and it will not be an issue, because if it comes up again, it will be very, very sad to see the Super Falcons go to another Nations Cup and the same issues they had at the last 2019 or 2020? I can't remember the Nations Cup right now. The same issue will come to play out, and I hope Gosol is already planning to make sure that there will be no issues going into this one.
No, the thing is that one thing about Nigeria basically is that we fail to learn from history. So if you're banking on the Nigerian Federation, Football Federation, to have learned something and hope that this will not happen again, then of course you might be living in an alternate universe. The truth is, it's very likely that we're going to actually face the same problem. But the biggest motivation for the girls now is, okay, it's been a while we've won this tournament. We might want to go all the way to actually win this particular one at this point. Again, another thing, right? You look at this particular team, and then you look at the issue of captaincy, and then you look at the issue of money coming involved. And yes, you made mention of something very important. The Botswana forwards, and of course the girl who was supposed to play for Malawi. We've lost a couple of Nigerian players to other foreign national. I'm talking about female football now. You remember the side that actually won the Nations Cup? I think it was in 2009, the Equatorial Guinea team that actually defeated the Super Falcons in that particular tournament. I mean, many of them, I think about 4 of them were of Nigerian ancestry. They actually did that, and they actually overpowered our girls and won the particular championship. This is exactly what's going to be happening going forward. Now, this one, the NFF have won this one over. Years to come, you get to see that some of our top talents, we were here discussing the issue of Ophili the other day, right? Some of our top talents in Africa, in Nigeria, will definitely start playing for other countries in Africa, and then perhaps maybe we'll start understanding the value of how to actually develop our own and keep our own in-house. Because the truth is, if you don't actually give these girls what they want, other country who understands the value of these players will definitely start poaching them. I just hope these girls actually win this. I mean, if not for anything, for the fact that the idea or the sound of La Decima is very important, and some of these girls have not won it before. It's going to actually act as an elixir for them for the World Cup or the Olympics that will be coming next, so that they actually know and start seeing themselves as champion. Because these are the the little steps you need to take that will definitely bring about the belief that okay, we can actually do this. I just hope that. Something can actually be done to actually, give these girls what they deserve. Of course, remember, I think it was a couple of months we were having a conversation about the players, the female players, talking about them washing their own kids. They're talking about, the disparity in terms of how they actually take care of the male and how they actually take care of them, in spite of them actually bringing more glory to Nigeria than their male counterparts. And of course, how, the money they actually pay them is actually very small. And then, as small as the money, you still keep owing them. I don't want to believe this is one of the reasons, because the life of Asha Oshola actually spoke very loud in that particular conversation, in that particular controversy. I don't want to believe this is one of the reasons why she was actually skipped of the ban and then given to Rashida, because our NFF had a very funny way of actually behaving. This might actually just be a vendetta, and if that is the case, trust me, we already have a divided dressing room before the tournament starts, and it's not going to look good at all.
Yeah, Maiwa is now with us. Definitely, I will want to put that into consideration, because it happened to Desire Okparanozie. She was ostracized from the team when she revolted, and it looks like it's playing out to assist at Oshola. Some will say maybe Oshola definitely, age is no longer on her side, but she still has what it takes in terms of experience in that team. But stripping her of the captain and band, is it going to be a big issue, Maiwa, going to the WAFCON?
Well, I think it's going to be an issue. The thing is this: if you are stripping out the captain's band, you should probably be kicking her out of the team, because the thing is there are a whole lot of players that will be loyal to her. However, it now comes to question of her own professionalism. How does she handle this? My major concern with our national team is this: the moment you speak out, and sorry, I want to digress a bit. Remember when Victor Moses spoke out about some issues with the NFF, they ostracized him from the team, the national team. The same thing we are seeing with the female national team. I mean, if anybody will come out and say age is not on our side again, Onome played till she was 40 before she was let go. So Perpetua Nkocha played till she was almost 40. She played till around 39. Oshola is just 30 or 31. I mean, I don't see any reason why, you are saying someone saying people are saying she's old, and Falcons play very late into their career. The bottom line is people that are supposed to be accountable, when the players are trying to hold them accountable, they get punished. And that's the reason why a whole lot of these guys, they go ahead and do what is not. I just hope, for the sake of our football, for the sake of our growth, we don't do these things. When players complain, and the complaint is, makes sense, the bottom line is for them to address the complaint. I mean, I'll give you a typical example. When they were trying to prepare for the, friendly match against Cameroon, a private organization, took up the challenge of putting them up and giving them a suitable place to train when they were supposed to be representing Nigeria. If any player had come out to speak out on that, I'm 100% sure they will exercise the player and start, making trouble for the player. We just need to do better. Our federations handling these girls, they need to do better. If not, the same thing that's happening to our male football will definitely one of these days creep into the female football and will be nowhere to be found.
Yeah, we just hope it will not become an issue as far as the Super Falcons is concerned. Do you think they can go unbeaten and go ahead to win this championship?
Well, I think we can do it. However, I watched the game against Portugal again, and there is a whole lot of things that needs to be tweaked in that particular team, especially in our final third. There needs needs a whole lot of work. Even against Cameroon, we had a whole lot of chances. Apart from the fact that we scored a penalty and Ajibade scored another goal, we had a whole lot of chances and we couldn't convert. Remember, we were playing in Morocco, and the last time we were in Morocco, the result was not that favorable. I think if the girls can gel together very well and we can finish very well in our final third, I think we have what it takes to be able to win the tournament. However, the big question is this: I hope the heat to the surface and affect the overall performance of the team.
All right, let's see how that pans out. Of course, those are Super Falcons and players already in Morocco and looking bright and shiny. And can we say that the preparation so far for this competition has been better than what we've been seeing before, or something good enough to prepare this team ahead? They played Portugal and they played Ghana.
Well, I think so far the preparation has not really been bad. But then, I mean, it's really not about preparation for the Falcons. I mean, they've always been dominant, right? But I think it's all about the motivation now. I mean, the phase of the preparation is long gone. Let's talk about motivation. What's going to really motivate these girls? What is what would they be looking up to? Because some of them have actually not won it before. The likes of Adibade, Oshola might say, okay, yeah, I've won it before. But for the ones that have not won it before, what exactly is going to be the motivation? These ones actually really need some extra motivation to actually get it done. What exactly is the people running the football actually doing as regards helping them to actually get what they want and help them to actually get the money they deserve? Is it another case of them actually after tournaments washing their own kit? All of these things need to be actually put in place so that they actually will focus on what they have to do on the pitch and then get the job done. Again, I mean, one thing that we as a nation have really been hiding under as regards the Falcon in Africa is of course their talents. If we don't have the talents in Africa, I don't think with the way we actually handle or run the female football in this part of the world, we'll be anywhere close to at 40 in the world, because it's so bad. These guys are actually just doing everything basically on their own, and it's really bad. Many of them come from European club side, and they see how things are done there, and then you bring them home and then you treat them like people who have actually not even played professional football before. I just hope that the manager, the person of Madugu, is able to actually put these girls together, because this number 10 title is really very important for us to actually get in our hands.
All right, so that's the squad lineup, and of course some will be confused why a white lady is playing for the Super Falcons. That is actually Ashley Plumtree. I don't know, she's currently in the Saudi League now.
Yes,
at the moment.
Saudi Pro League.
And Chiamaka Nandose, congratulations to her. She just recently signed up with Brighton and over Albion. And it's been a tremendous time for her. And of course, she's still the best goalkeeper in the world as far as I'm concerned. And I can't wait to see her in the WSL out there in England. Okay, let's go back to Victor Osimhen. As we first reported, the Nigerian international forward Victor Osimhen has been ordered to return to Napoli for the start of pre-season training in preparation for next season. Osimhen spent last season on loan at Galatasaray, where he fired them to the league and cup double with 37 goals and 6 assists in all competitions. He is now back at Napoli upon the expiration of his loan deal. He will be expected at their training camp, which opens on the 14th, 15th of July, unless he secures a move away before the date. And it seems unlikely after his decision to snub a move to Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia, the only team that has met his release clause of 75 million. And the Serie A champions will have medical tests for all their players between 14 July and 15, and will have training sessions in Di Mauro, Trentino, Arto, and DJ. And from July 17 to 27 before a 2-day break, which will be followed by preparation in Castel de Sangro between July 30 and August 14. And coach of the team, Antonio Conte, has already informed the representative of the 26-year-old that he will be training away from the first team, as he is not in their plans for next season, largely due to his desire to leave. Okay, so he's going to be facing training with the academy boys if he doesn't decide his future now. So it's a difficult situation that Osimhen has found himself. They already told him that, don't worry, no, you're not in our first team plans. Even if he's going to change his mind, I think for pride's sake, he shouldn't even tell Conte, I want to play for you now, because I think his mind is already off Napoli. What a difficult situation.
For a player who has, won the African Footballer of the Year before, and I mean, considering what happened last season, I think it would be unwise for him to actually even still decide to put on that jersey again. I mean, there should be no going back. It's a case of a relationship gone sour, right? And just imagine two people who actually are very much in love at some point, and something happened. There's
no room for forgiveness.
And something happened, and then you guys took yourself to the police station. And you just imagine, after it, and you guys been away for a while. Someone said, okay, guys, you guys can actually patch it up. The first night will be difficult. You can't even sleep. You don't know what she's up to. She also doesn't know what you're up to. You might just wake up in the middle of the night to stab her. So these are the things that Osimhen and of course Napoli will look at.
Contract binding the both of them.
It doesn't change anything. I mean, whatever happens at this point, right? If the club decides to actually act in a certain way, it's definitely going to affect Osimhen's career. If Osimhen acts in a certain way, also, it's definitely going to affect the brand of the club. So at this point, I think they should just find a resolution, a peaceful resolution to actually go their separate way. And therefore, Osimhen, this is going to be a lesson for him. Like I always advocate at this point, he doesn't have a lot of leverage anymore. A lot of person cannot actually meet his transfer, wage which the club is actually demanding. This is the point where he had to, sit with his agent and say, you know what? Yes, it's going to be one season. I'm willing to actually take a certain, make a certain amount of sacrifice. Perhaps maybe a pay cut, or speak with Napoli and say, okay, this is the condition. This is what I'm willing to part with. Let's do it like this so that I'm actually going to, be free. He needs to make that decision now. It's going to take one season, and definitely going to recover whatever it is that he's going to lose. I mean, he still got the talent, he still got the age and the leg on his side. If he joins a top team, that really will help him. I mean, he's definitely going to score a good number of goals, and of course, his stock is definitely going to rise again. But if he stick to his gun that this is my money, or this is what I actually want, that's going to be a problem. Because for Napoli, at this point, Napoli won the league without him last season, so they are actually with the one with leverage. They are not losing anything, whatever whichever way this whole situation pans out.
All right, Maiwa, I hope that Ike Chukwu's advice will be taken into consideration, because for a young man who just bought a Rolls-Royce vehicle, I don't think he's having any plan of losing anybody, right? I want to recover the money he just used to buy that vehicle. So it's a difficult situation. Maybe he might be picking at Ali for him to have gone taking booze by hand to get such a expensive ride. Maiwa, what do you think?
Well, the thing is this: Yorubas will say "owo nothing wowo," meaning you use money to look for money.
Okay.
That is where his bread and butter is coming from. If he needs to bring out money from his pocket to secure a move for himself or to buy himself out of the contract, I think he should do that. The advice is very simple. Apart from the fact that there are a whole lot of lessons to be learned here, we've hammered on the lessons, and this is the time for Osimhen to take, a friendly advice. I hope he gets to see this clip. We've seen Mahrez buy out himself from Leicester City when he wanted to move to Man City by all means. I think Osimhen should do the same thing. It will not cost Osimhen anything. Yes, it might be a whole lot of money for him at the start, but I think Osimhen should buy out his contract from Napoli. Whichever top club is coming, I think a whole lot of clubs are coming with a valuation of 50 million or thereabout, and Napoli is sitting on 70 million. I don't think 20 million will be too much for Osimhen to raise. It might be a lot of money for him, but for the sake of his career, because if at the end of this season, he does not, there is no resolution, his stock will drop, and at the end of the day, will find himself playing in a club whereby they will be offering him maybe £40,000 a week just for him to be able to play football in a league that has a name, not the Saudi league. So if I were to be Osimhen, I'll probably go the route of buying myself out of the contract. Whatever the club I want to go, whatever they want to pay, I'll put up some cash and buy myself out of that contract. Then negotiate properly with the new club, and you move on from there. He still has about 6-7 years to be able to play good football. He's just 26, and players play till about 35, 36. So he has about 6-7 years to do that, and he will recoup whatever he has spent on the contract. Staying with Napoli is not an option. I don't think Antonio Conte will let him back into the team. Antonio Conte that fired a player that won the league the previous season with a text message. You know how ruthless Antonio Conte is. So if I were Osimhen, I'll buy out my contract and leave Napoli. And that's just it.
African players at 26 still has 6-7 years. Anyway, Mario, you do the maths and you understand. I will not do the maths for you. But it is what it is. Anyway.
Well, we know he went on that 17. And okay. I mean, in that under 17, he was pretty still young. I mean, even if you want to doctor something, I don't think you will doctor more than 1 or 2 years. So he looks still very young. I think he will be around his age.
Why are you off the mic now? I didn't say anything now. Why you call the Shalayela?
I think I agree with Osimhen still has about 6-7 years. Okay. I mean, maybe 4 years. Maybe 4 years in Central Europe, but of course outside main Europe, maybe in Saudi and other part of the world, perhaps yes. You still have about 3 more years to actually.
But with the way he plays, if he gets to that age, he will have to change his pattern because he relies more or less on physical and football strength. His strength is his major. Talking about his major attributes and quality. And of course, you could see that happen to Drogba at a point in time. He was not able to exert that similar strength he was
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years when he was about to leave the scene. And he retired much earlier, for me.
For Victor Osimhen, I think the truth is Victor Osimhen is more athletic than Drogba. And he's quicker. So if you factor that, I think Osimhen still got about 7 years. If you look at him, it might not be 7 years at the top, right? But of course, 7 years playing football, generally. I think we can agree with that. It might not be, in main Europe. It might be, maybe after 3-4 years, they can decide to go to Saudi and then come back to Galatasaray, or perhaps, go to, somewhere in Russia.
You'd be surprised if he decided to pick Saudi as his next destination.
Well, at this point, it's going to be quite tricky because why didn't he pick Saudi earlier on? The budget wasn't in the offer.
They said they're going to come back with a better offer. Even the one they did before was a very good offer. Now they say they're going to increase it to come back again and still put a new offer on the table.
Well, the truth is this, right? Victor Osimhen, as if you look at him from afar, you understand that he's a man who really doesn't have wise counsel around him. So a man who actually takes his decision, solely on himself. So it's very possible at the end of the day, he might just look at the money and then, what left to play for? I've won the best player in Africa, I've won the Scudetto, I've won the league in Galatasaray. This is not a question of my quality again. Jean Duran, there are conversations that he's coming back to Europe. So yes, he might go to
Fenerbahce.
Yes, so there are conversations that I can go there for 2 seasons and then come back to Europe. Just go, get the bag and then come back to Europe and play a couple of years down, to run down my years. So it's a lot of factors. But then he should also know that the moment he decides to actually go to Saudi Arabia, that marks the end of his career as a player. No top club in Europe will want to look at him again because if you go to Saudi Arabia, banging he goes. Even if you want to come back to Europe, it's going to be a mid-team because a lot of players will definitely come. One season just.
We've seen players like John Henderson. He went there, collected a lot of money to play in the Saudi league, and he moved to Ajax and became captain of Ajax.
Come on, I mean, Ajax is a conversation we can always have. Ajax is a team, you know, at this point, they basically what they look like is an academy. They groom players and get, you know, to sell the best. So what they do is get the best legs and then get 1 or 2 experienced players to help them actually get a very good team. I think Ajax at this point, I don't know the kind of player they have, but from the outlook, what I see rather, is that, you know, they're trying to actually set a team and then do very well in European Championship so that people get to see their players and then they put them up for sale. I mean, we saw the team that Erik ten Hag took to UEFA Champions League semi-final, how, you know, a lot of them after that championship they were dismissed. They had like a Tadic and co that actually helped to actually improve.
Osimhen can still go to the Saudi League and play 1 season and still come to a big side in Europe. Anything can still happen.
Well, it's quite tricky because, I mean, the reason he's leaving Europe is going to also, you know, be
because of money. The only reason he will be taking the Saudi League option majorly is going to be money.
That's what I'm saying. If he's coming back, right? If he's being paid, for example, 50 million in Saudi, right? And then he's coming back to
definitely not the same kind of money.
Right, he's coming back to Europe. So for a player who have decided to actually take that huge money and then you're coming back to Europe to actually take a huge pay cut, because I mean he's going to take way less than what you're taking in Saudi Arabia.
You're saying that if he couldn't take pay cut now, is it now when he has tasted
more money? Come on, it's going to be difficult for him to actually want to accept that. So I think he want to find, first thing he want to do is to find a solution here first, and then maybe 2-3 seasons he decides to, you know, move to Saudi League and then get the bag, settle in there.
Mayowa, would you be surprised if he decided to pick the Saudi League?
Well, I would not be surprised. I mean, the first time this news broke, I think sometimes last year before the move to Galatasaray, people were calculating the billions that I was looking at. But the thing is the question is how you know, how much more does Osimhen want it? Does Osimhen feel he has it in him to probably win a Champions League with a big club? Does he see it in himself to do well, to probably compete for the Ballon d'Or and play at the at topmost club in Europe? I think he has the quality, but the question is how, for a lack of better word, how greedy is Osimhen when it comes to money? How greedy is he? And the question is another question is apart from Mahrez that was adamant about leaving Leicester City, I can't remember any African player, you know, putting up money to buy out his contract. A whole lot of African players, they would rather go for the money because, I mean, the essence of them playing football is about the money. So I hope Osimhen does not make that mistake, because another thing is this, a whole lot of people go to Saudi and they find it uncomfortable for them. John Duran went there because of the money. He's crying in Saudi Arabia. Jordan Henderson went to Saudi Arabia. You know, he couldn't even wait to the end of his contract. He terminated his contract. A couple of European players have gone to Saudi Arabia. They couldn't wait to the end of the contract. They had to terminate it and go back to Europe. I hope it's not a case of where you go to Saudi Arabia and after 1 season, you know, you'll be tired and you'll be crying that he wants to come back. I think it's just take his time. And I think the best option for him is to buy out his contract, go to a top club, and you know, let's see what he can do in the next 3-4 years for those clubs.
All right, it is what it is. But in the case of John Duran, what I heard was actually because of a woman. That's why he could not stay in the Saudi League anymore. And of course, I think his girlfriend gave him a deadline. It's either me or the Saudi League. Okay, talking about the power of women. Okay, it is what it is. Well, let's talk about some transfer news now, where Arsenal have reportedly initiated discussions with the representatives of Crystal Palace midfielder Eberechi Eze, signaling their interest in signing the England international this summer. And of course, according to transfer expert Fabrizio Romano, the Gunners have reached out to Eze's camp to understand the deal's condition, including his $93 million release clause, which can be paid in installments. The 27-year playmaker, widely regarded as one of the Premier League's most talented players outside the traditional top 6, has attracted interest from several clubs, including Tottenham. Yeah, when I heard about the money, I knew Arsenal cannot pay. When I heard installments, okay, they are very good at doing a job to buy players. It is what it is. But do you think that Eberechi Eze is going to be an Arsenal player?
Arsenal actually coughed, you know, over 100 for Declan Rice. Why will you say
he's an English player? That's just the answer.
Eberechi Eze also is an English international.
An English player is different from an English player. So let's just forget about it. We know it. Just
Jerry.
Don't beat around the bush.
No, now is he
There are
not
some
an English player?
There are some English players.
They are both English players now. National
Is he
team
a
players.
starter? Is he a starter in the English team?
Does it change anything?
He changes. Is he a regular in the English team? That's it.
He was part of their last. He was part of their last championship.
Which club is he coming from? He's coming from Crystal Palace. Declan Rice came from West Ham.
So what's the difference?
No, the difference, they just won the Europa League.
They just won the FA Cup too.
FA Cup, Europa League.
They are almost the same thing.
No, that is.
They're almost the same. I said they are almost the same thing, Jerry.
They are not the same. Almost is not the same thing.
Fine, but
come down. You just accept it.
But Jerry.
The terms are far different.
Winning the FA Cup against a side like Manchester City is a very tall order for Crystal Palace. And the man who stole the show is Eberechi Eze.
And Eberechi Eze is already old. He's 27. Declan Rice, at what age was he bought for 100 million from West Ham United? He was a captain of this West Ham side that went ahead to win.
Yeah, it does not matter if
Eberechi
is the leader of Crystal Palace. You don't have to be the captain to be the leader of the team. You know now.
Anyway, Eberechi Eze moving for $93 million. Installment. That's the only reason why Arsenal is interested in this move. That's the truth. Let's call a spade a spade. And Eberechi is still moving. It's going to be subject to a lot of things will have to be discussed. Are they going to be able to pay him double of the wages he's earning? Because I know he earns peanuts playing for Crystal Palace.
Of course, Arsenal can actually pay him over 100.
Oh, really?
Yes. A good number of Arsenal players.
The way you're holding brief for Arsenal, the agent of this Arsenal board spoken to you. This is the same Arsenal we know. This no, you are not talking about another Arsenal.
No. Arsenal over the years, in the last say 3-4 years, you know that they've really upped their transfer business. They've really done so well compared to what we used to know. Arsenal now close business, as soon as possible.
Which one have they closed so far?
The Declan Rice deal was closed easily.
I'm talking about so far. We're talking about the transfer.
This is the conversation. This is why they're having a very cheese in.
I told you that there are some English players. There's some English player. That's the issue. The difference between Eberechi Eze and Declan Rice. And nobody has told us whether they paid once that £100 million. I know Arsenal did not pay that money once. No matter they want, if they check the books very well, Arsenal will not pay that £100 million once.
Jerry,
that's confirmed. You want us to go and dig it?
No, they paid once.
Were you there?
No, there was
no. This is only brief. It's like Kroenke has offered him a job.
Yeah,
they sit at the board.
There was no conversation.
offered a seat at the Arsenal board.
Wait, Jerry, but there was no conversation.
Let me know so that I will
But Jerry, there was no conversation. There was no news saying Arsenal paid for the
Arsenal never paid.
I mean, we heard that of Nicolas Pepe that they paid in installments.
Yes.
But
they've not finished paying that money.
That's what I'm saying. For Declan Rice, there was no news that they actually paid in installments.
Don't worry, I will get the facts. Because I don't like speaking offhand. I will get the facts about that deal and I'll bring it on this platform.
You are so certain that they
Yes, I'm very certain. I can bet everything on it. The Arsenal will not pay £100 million up front for Declan Rice. Maiwa, Eberechi Eze.
I mean, the question is this. Is Eberechi Eze going to win them the league? He's 27. You want to spend about over £80 million on him. And you want to bring in a playmaker. How many goals does Eberechi Eze contribute in a season? We have said it consistently. It's not that Arsenal is lacking a playmaker in that team at the moment. We've said constantly Arsenal needs an out-and-out striker that can deliver at least 25 goals for them to be able to, challenge for anything. Why are you spending over £80 million on a playmaker when you can use that same amount to get a striker that will do the job for you? I don't understand it.
The answer before you move on is that there's no striker that will require you paying a job to sign. That is just it. I didn't think there's a striker you can pay small. Arsenal would have signed it before the transfer window even open.
I think
that's the truth. The current Sporting Lisbon will not accept a job. Then you should go and replace Sporting.
I think it's very, very unfair.
It doesn't make any sense.
To say,
why are you buying a playmaker? Why you need a striker?
No. See, we saw how Arsenal suffered last season when Bukayo Saka got injured. We saw how they suffered when what's his name? Martin Odegaard, was struggling with form. Arsenal don't have a third leg to help them with creativity, and Eberechi offers.
Players,
Oh,
like Merino and Co.
No, Jerry. This
even
guy,
Luis Kelly, also
Luis Kelly creativity. No,
he also did this.
Maiwa. Eberechi comes.
Their major lacking was a number 9.
No, Arsenal's problem is not goal scoring.
Okay, Maiwa.
Wait, hold on. Ikechukwu, the question is this: a playmaker and a proven goal scorer, which one do you think Arsenal needs the most?
The big question
to go forward.
Just answer the question.
Defended
Stop playing
second
politics.
3 times in a row. Which one do you think they need the most? A playmaker, that doesn't score up to 20 goals, than a top 9 that is guaranteed to deliver at least 25 goals. Which one do you think they need the most?
Which one do you think they need the most?
What they need at this point,
yes,
is squad in depth. They don't have and I'll tell you for free.
My
Arsenal's problem is Arsenal's problem is not goal scoring.
Oh.
Check the number of goals they scored in last 2 seasons and wait now, Maiwa, compare.
Arsenal's problem is a finisher.
No, their problem is not goal scoring. They don't have issues with scoring goals.
Okay.
Arsenal don't have problem with scoring goals.
Okay.
If it's a team that has problem with scoring goals, we'll be having a conversation of okay, they need a striker. Arsenal has problem with creativity when Saka. We've always talked about Saka's substitute. Eberechi is coming with 2 options. He's coming as a number 10 and can also play in the flank for Martinelli. So if Saka is out, they can always rely on, and they have Martin Odegaard. They can always rely on Eberechi on the flank for creativity, and then to help take away the options.
One of the reasons why misplaced priority has become an issue.
Who converts the chances for them? The question is who converts the chances for them?
Big games.
Somebody who they don't have they don't have the players to convert it.
Okay.
Look at the last season. There were a whole lot of games that if they had a top 9, a deadly finisher in front of goals, we are
talking about strikers now, right? We are talking about strikers. Okay, so let's talk about Man City before Haaland arrived. Who was converting their chances? And they won the league. Who? Julian Alvarez came the same season with Haaland. Who was converting their goals before Haaland came?
Hold on. There was a certain Aguero.
No.
There was
Aguero.
There was Gabriel Jesus.
Gabriel Jesus. That was no.
They had Phil Foden.
No.
You forgot it.
Oh, Phil Foden is a striker.
Number 2.
Yes. Oh God. No. We are talking about the proven goal scorer that can give you 20 goals. Man City in those 2 seasons they don't have one.
Hold on. Number 2, the thing is this: they had players who can contribute goals.
That's not what Arsenal have. Arsenal has players who can.
Hold on.
How many of their players scored 10 goals in the Premier League last season?
How many of them?
How many of their players scored 10 goals?
Maiwa, check the table.
No, how many of their goal scorers scored 10 goals in the Premier League last season? That's the question.
How many of them contribute double digits? How many?
Jerry, Maiwa, check the goals table.
Yes, go ahead.
Check the goals table last season, right? Check the goals table the season before last season. Check the number of goals Arsenal scored, and check the number of goals Man City that won the league also scored. Then you understand that the problem Arsenal really had was those points, those times where their creative force were very much absent. If it's a team
do you know that Megaes have more goals than some of their forwards? Megaes is a defender. He has more goals than some of those people in the forward line. So if they are going to be relying on such, you know that at a point, at a point, Arsenal were relying on dead balls to score goals. That's why they were calling them the master of dark arts. You remember?
How many goals did they score from dead balls?
Yes. They had to start looking for dead ball situations to score goals.
How many goals did they score from dead balls?
If they had a top 9, they would not have to rely on
No. Chelsea did it under Drogba now. Chelsea did it when they had Drogba. Chelsea were the masters of corner kicks.
Anytime Drogba was scoring the goals when he comes to that dead ball.
Ivanovic was scoring a lot of goals from dead balls.
Anyway, I'm happy that you are one of those who is advising Arsenal now. So that they should start a striker.
No, I'm not saying they should not. I'm saying that Arsenal's priority.
I like this priority now. Bukayo Saka is the best. Eberechi is the answer. When they sign him, He will score 7 goals in the season. No, he will score 7 goals, and they will
Okay,
say
so
yes, he has arrived.
okay, what use is a striker? What use is a striker, a proven striker, without people who create the goals?
Arsenal already has a team that can create goals. That's not
okay.
the question.
So we both agree that Arsenal's problem is not about creating goals.
Yes, that's what we are saying.
And they've been creating a lot of goals over.
Creating goals, but the goals are not enough.
They need a finisher.
They need a finisher who can make sure that those goals
I
are
asked
enough.
you guys, Man City 2 seasons before Haaland arrived. You guys, who was that Man City's top striker?
The last time Arsenal won anything, I think it was Aubameyang.
They were against the around to kill over.
Aubameyang could score 25 goals. That's what Arsenal need, right? Arsenal does not. They need a top striker that can score
when
goals.
Aubameyang was there,
yeah.
How strong does Arsenal finish in Premier League?
Do you know that?
How strong?
Do you know that Arsenal, right from time, when they have a department settled, another department will be lacking. That has been the major issue for Arsenal all this while. One department will be good, one department will be lacking. Now they've settled defense, they settled midfield, they've refused to settle attack. When they were having attack, they were having issues in defense. They were conceding goals. Now they've settled defense. One thing they need for the jigsaw to be settled is to get a top 9. That's all. If they get a top 9, that's why they went to sign Gabriel Jesus, thinking that it was the answer. Gabriel Jesus is always out injured. They brought in Kai Havertz, who is a false 9, who is always leaving the 18-yard box and only flashes, and he's now become an injury-prone player. Now you sign Lisandro Trossard, who more or less a winger, who will only show when maybe on average games. But when it comes to top games,
so are you guys saying that Arsenal has this goal scoring problem? I want to know.
Yes, let me put it here. Arsenal doesn't have a goal scoring problem.
What do they have?
They have a problem of a top finisher who could make sure that all the opportunities they have in scoring goals will not rely on only dead balls or situation where they will have to rely on the first 9. Let somebody be in that 18-yard box to give you 25 goals. If they have a striker that can score as much goals as Aubameyang was scoring for them, with this same setup, I bet you, if they don't win the league, it will be this close.
They will win the league.
It has always been this close for them in the last 3 seasons.
If they don't win the league, it will be a team who is far better. Take a look at Liverpool. The time they were losing the league to Man City back-to-back was by just 1 point. There was a time
1 point.
Yeah, 1 point. Imagine just that 1 point was not the issue. And of course, we know that Liverpool were having issues in terms of covering their midfield. Their midfield was not good enough. There was the point in time under Jurgen Klopp, they were not even able to sign good players. See, the thing is that Arsenal has a good setup. Unless I think I like the way you're advising them now, but time will not permit us. I can't advise Arsenal because I will lose all my saliva. Time is really fast, we just have to go. Big thanks, Mayowa. Big thanks, Ikechukwu, for being a part of the show this afternoon. Big thanks to the guys, talking guys like Shegun and not leaving out. Ikechukwu is behind the scene. He is happy that you are advising them. I wish them all the best into a new season. On TV again, my name is Jerry Apela. I say stay safe, and if not, it's not all, it's the sports.